Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Shubhi and I talk about reading, books and a little bit of lifestyle on this channel. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And without any further ado, let's get this video rolling. I have my coffee ready and I have my books over here. You can't see them, but they're right here. And I'm going to talk about my top 10 reads of 2025. Let's go. Also, these are not in any particular order of reading or rating, nothing like that. These are just the 10 books that have made my reading year. First book that I want to talk about, I think I read this as soon as it launched in Feb, I believe, was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the third part in the Fourth Wing series. That's what it's called, the Empyrean series. Listen, I was waiting for this book to come out like a crazy lady, and I got my hands on this one as soon as it came out. In fact, I placed a pre order with Amazon, and they sent in my book in a very bad condition. I paid like a good amount for it, and it came in battered. I was so pissed, I had to return it, and I got this book from one of the Instagram stores. So, like, I don't know why I told you that story, but yeah, anyway, I love this book. I love this series. I love the characters. I love this book. Book opened up so many possibilities for the next book to come, which, if you're a Fourth Wing fan, my heart goes out to you because we don't know when the fourth book is coming. If she's begun writing the fourth book, even I believe she has. There was some update on her Instagram. But yeah, this book, this release, this launch made my year. Also, it was so pretty. I loved it. I know a lot of people hate on Fourth Wing and don't like it, but I love the book. Look at this. I love dragons. I love the whole fighting aspect. I love everything that's going on in the book. This book is a completely different genre. It's Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This was Holly Jackson's newest release last year, and I even went to the launch party that happened. Holly Jackson is one of my favorite crime thriller authors. I love her writing, I love the way she writes. This is her first adult story. In this, our protagonist is 27 years of age and she has been murdered, and she has only 7 days to figure out who her killer is. Yeah, that's not a spoiler. She dies like on the first page of the book. So, not a spoiler. Very emotional, very nicely done. More than the thriller aspect of this book, I enjoyed the emotional aspect of the story. Again, does not top Good Girl's Guide for me. But then again, I think more the book is gonna top Good Girl's Guide because, I binged this book, and how it was so good. I loved it. I loved reading it. I had such a great time with this. Also, since I went to the launch party, I have so many goodies from this launch, Not Quite Dead Yet. Makes this book really special. This book that I want to talk about is The Poppy War by R.F. Kong. This is a historical fantasy. High fantasy, but not that high. This is a trilogy, and I read the first part in 2025. Absolutely loved this book to bits. Loved the storyline, loved the writing style. More than 500 pages, and I ate this up. Okay. Talking about the story of this draws parallels from the modern Chinese history, and we have our main character Rin, and there's this university slash academy sort of a thing called synagogue, and Rin really wants to get into synagogue. So she has to take this crazy test and get into the synagogue, and then there they learn about different subjects, and they also train to be fighters because there's a war that might happen. I can't tell you more than that because then that's going to be spoilers. This has battle, this has war, this has trials, tests. The stakes are very high, and everywhere you look, it's high stakes. I was on the edge of my seat throughout reading this book because what even was gonna happen, who is lying, who is not, you can't tell, and you don't know who to trust. So, like, this becomes really complex and complicated, but also really fun to read. I do have the next books on my physical TBRs, and they are very high on my reading list. So definitely gonna be completing this series this year. Okay, the next book I'm gonna talk about is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Now again, very contradictory opinions on the internet about this book, but I personally really enjoyed it. I think Emily Henry tried something new and I'm all for it. I loved it. It's very different from what she usually writes, but I think we have to give room to her to, expand her horizons and not be so critical about something new that she's come up with. It's not bad by any means. It's just not what it's expected from her. Her last five books are very similar in writing style and storyline. So if you don't know, Emily Henry is a beautiful romance author, is one of my favorites. I love all of her romance books. My favorite is Funny Story. This one is very different from a romance book. Of course, this does have a secondary plot of romance, but uh, there's also a mystery aspect to this book, and the mystery aspect does take over the romance plot, definitely, in my opinion. But then that does not make the book flop for me. We have our two main characters who are two authors, and they are competing to write the biography of this old actress who disappeared for a good amount of time, but now she's finally ready to come back and tell the world her side of the story. They have been invited to this remote sort of island to spend time with that old actress. Margaret is her name. They've been invited to spend time with Margaret, know her side of the story, write about it, and then by the end of it, she's gonna pick one out of the two to write her biography. That's the whole premise and the plot of the story. The romance definitely takes a back seat in this one, but whatever little glimpses of romance we got, loved it. The next book also released last year. It's Inferno. Oh no, it did not release last year. What am I saying? So basically, Penguin republished all of Dan Brown's books last year. That's what happened. I was a part of this campaign, and this one, Inferno, got sent to me. I had the older copy of Inferno as well, but I had not read it. So yeah, this one was sent to me and I read it, and thank God I read it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that nobody can write like Dan Brown does. He has this crazy way of storytelling which involves history, mostly Italy also. He derives a lot of his plot from mythology and symbolism, and I just love it. It's so well done. I don't know how he does it, and I just, oops, like I was saying, I don't know how he does it, and I don't know how much research goes into, writing something like this. I have read my fair share of Dan Brown, and he's definitely one of my top authors. So brilliantly he writes his book, and this is this whole new world that he envelops you in. It's beautiful. In this book we follow Robert Langdon. If you've read Dan Brown, you know Robert Langdon is usually the main character of most of his books, and we follow Robert Langdon, and there's a virus that is spreading, and now everybody's fighting to stop it from spreading. Great book, highly recommend. Next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I don't know why I waited so long to read this book because I absolutely devoured it. This is a story about a girl in 1400s, sorry, 1700s France, and how she trades in her soul to the devil for a better life, for, get out of the situation that she is in at that time. And in that deal, in that bargain that she makes with the devil, she is going to be invisible for the rest of her very, very long life. Nobody is going to remember Addie for more than a couple of minutes. And it's just tragic, okay? This book is definitely slow, and it's not, action packed and very suspensey, thrillery, if that's what you're expecting it to be. It reads very slow. It has a lot of depth, a lot of emotions, and that's precisely what I love about it. I love V. Schwab's writing style, and I love how attached I was with the main character, which is Addie. There's also a subplot of romance by the end of the story, and it shattered me, to say the least. Yeah. I got zoned out for a minute there because it literally broke my heart into a million pieces, and then I had to pick each piece back and put it all together. But read it if you haven't. The next book that I want to talk about is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. very different from what I usually read. I wouldn't have picked this book up if it wasn't sent to me by the publisher. Um, Very bingeable. That's the word that I want to give this book. It's so fast paced, and every chapter ends on a cliffhanger, which, you know, you just want to know what happened. It's also very high stakes, very full of drama and jealousy, angst, a lot of love that is, obsessive, toxicity, even. If you like these kind of things, not in real life, of course, only in fiction, you are really gonna enjoy this book. The two main characters in this book, Katerina and Heath, they are ice skating champions, or they are training to be one, and it's a story about their love, their obsession, their breakup, the drama, the tension, jealousy, everything mixed into one, and how love forces you to follow, your partner's passion equally crazily. And when you are so much in love with the other person, you just will go and do anything for them. I absolutely loved reading this book. I did not know I could be so interested in reading about sports as much as I was while reading this book. I was so into it, and I binged this like no other. The next book that I want to talk about is Good Material by Dolly Alderton. This one is a general fiction novel, or I don't know, contemporary fiction. I had this book for the longest time on my physical TBR, and I did not read it, thinking that this was going to be more non-fictiony than fictiony. But I was so wrong about it. When I started reading it, I absolutely got indulged into the story as soon as I read the first couple of 10-20 pages. That's how long it took me to be really, really into it. And this is a story about a couple who has broken up recently after a long term relationship. In this book, we mostly read about the man's point of view of the breakup, and we get to reading about the women's point of view very late, around I think the last few chapters of the book. Yeah, it shows us how breakups in your 30s are so different from breakups in your 20s, where in your 20s you're more free, or you're not that serious about life. But when it's your 30s and everybody around you is starting a new life, getting married, having babies, nobody really has time to sit and be there for you. How lonely and how depressing it is to navigate through a breakup, and just how hard it is for you. And our male main character, Andy, he's a little insufferable in the starting, but then as the story moved on, I went in to go and sort of feel sad for him, because it feels like he's just stuck in the middle, and you don't really understand the reason why the women left. But then you read the woman's point of view, and everything completely changed. You get to know why she left, what happened. There's always two sides to the story, and that was the case in this book as well. If there's one book that everybody who is in their late 20s, around 28, 29, that should read, is this one. Yeah. The next book that I really enjoyed reading is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Now, it's a trilogy, and I only read the first part last year. I read it in December, I believe. Perfect time to read it, I feel. It's so whimsical, so magical. This is a YA fantasy book, and I can't wait to get to the next two parts of this book. It's so magical. It was so beautiful reading this, especially during, winter time, December time, around Christmas. It puts you in such a happy mood, although there are a few not so happy things happening in this book. But since it's YA, it reads very light, very easy, and definitely not like the other fantasy books that I've read throughout the year. So we have our female main character, Evangeline Fox, and she finds out that the love of her life is going to marry her stepsister. So she strikes this deal with the Prince of Hearts that stop the marriage and I'll do whatever you say. And this Prince of Hearts is definitely very wicked, obviously. So he grants her the wish, the marriage is stopped, but he asks her for 3 kisses in return, and those kisses he'll take at whatever time he chooses. And they're not just kisses, obviously there's some magical thing associated with those kisses. That's how the story progresses, and loved it. I loved how easygoing, how breezy it is, and just the whole setting and whole premise of this fantasy world was so whimsical, so magical. I absolutely loved it. And going in complete opposite direction of whimsical, magical, beautiful, all the good things, we have our last book for this video, which is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. If you're in the book community, if you're in the internet, I'm sure you've heard about this book and how sad it is. And I'm sure you've seen multiple people bawl and sob and cry their hearts out while reading this book, and all of it is true. All of it is true. I don't know why I read this book, okay, but this exceeded beyond my expectations of what a sad book could be. I don't think I've read anything sadder than this one, and I do not recommend this book to anybody. I can't wish such sadness on anybody. I also have a full blown review sort of video up on my channel about this book. So go watch it if you want, if you're planning to read this book, because I talk so much more in depth and in detail in that video. But yeah, I had this book on my TBR for a while because I do have a knack for such books. But again, I did not expect it to be this sad. Okay, it's just sad. That's all I can say about it. It's beautifully done, beautifully written, amazing story, amazing, you know, emotional depth to the story. But yeah, very sad. If you're easily triggered, anxious, and not in a good headspace, please stay away from this book by all means. You don't have to read it. It's not that, big of a deal if you have not read it. It's just a book. It's a good book. And yeah, my coffee is also done. So, yeah, with that, I think we've finished all the 10 books that I really, really loved reading in the year of 2025. I hope 2026 has so much more good books for me to read. I'm sure it has. I would say that 2025 was definitely a great year in terms of reading. I read about 32 books, and out of those, 10 were amazing, and about 6 were 5 stars for me, which I would say is not bad, right? Let me know how many 5 stars did you read in 2025, and what was your top read or top 3 reads of the year. So yeah, with that, I think I'm gonna end this video right here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you loved it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.